Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this hands-on training session, What's New in Winter 10. In this session, we're going to take a pretty close look at about 5 new features that have come out with our Winter 10 release. I'm glad to see you guys here this morning, staying this extra time. Hopefully, we'll be able to get all the logins smoothly. I don't think this is necessarily your first login. Your first time in one of these, so we should be able to get through that quickly. I am a little concerned that we're covering a lot here, so I'm going to try to move through the initial part of this, because I think that this is going to be kind of packed. It's going to be tough to get everything in an hour. So my name is Brian Bullock. I'm an application instructor with Salesforce.com. I'm a certified administrator, certified advanced administrator. By Thanksgiving, by next week, I should be certified developer and a certified consultant. Wish me luck on my exams next week. So I was going to try to get them done so that I could have those little badges up here when I did my presentations, but I couldn't get them done in time. So hopefully by next week I'll be a certified developer and consultant. All right, this is a safe harbor statement. Considering we're just focusing on things in Winter 10, I think we should be pretty safe. But if I were to mention something that is forward-looking, please make all of your purchasing decisions based on existing functionality of the application. All right. So let's get you guys logged in. Some of you may have done that already. The login, the username for this session is admin@df, and just open up Explorer, should take you to the login screen. Username admin@df09 winter 10, the 3-digit number that's pasted to the top of your monitor. .com. Now the password, it says it's provided by instructor. You guys know what the password is? Password 1, all lowercase, no spaces, so PASSWORD, number 1. Okay, password 1. All right, so I'll give you guys all a chance to get logged in. Helpers? You got helpers in the room? Just guys raise your hands, just so. And again, I think you guys may know the drill by now. We've got some helpers in the back of the room. If you're having trouble logging in, just let them know. All right. And by the way, just Kelly, can you raise your hand? I'll try to mention Kelly before. Kelly is a training account executive, so if you guys have questions about training or you just love what's happened so much in this session that you want to sign up for training right after this class, talk to Kelly. All right, so once you get logged in, again, admin@df09 winter 10, your 3-digit number.com, password is password 1. All lowercase, no spaces. Once you log in, you should see admin user at Universal Containers. See some nice colorful dashboard on the front page. Okay. And you guys will have access to this org when you walk out the door if you just keep your login. Now, if you're sharing a login, you may be working on the same org if you guys share it. The only issue is if you log out from outside of this, it's going to be a different IP address. So it's going to ask you to activate the new IP. It's going to send an email. So at some point before the end, you'll want to go into the user record on this and change the email address to your own email address. So if you guys are sharing, you may have to flip a coin to see who gets to use the org after this. All right. Okay, so going into the agenda. Again, kind of a packed agenda. We got 4 exercises, so again, I want to move through this. Again, just raise your hand if you're not getting logged in. A helper will be right with you. So we're going to do an overview of Salesforce Knowledge. Salesforce Knowledge is not necessarily something that is like a Winter 10 new release feature. It's something that we just released last week. It's something that we kind of announced. And this, for some of you who haven't seen it yet, this might be your first look into Salesforce Knowledge. We're going to do a quick demo. Mainly what the exercise is going to cover is how to set up Salesforce Knowledge. But just so you see how it looks in a fully fleshed out knowledge application, Brendan is we're going to do a quick demo just so you can see it live. But we're going to go in and set up Salesforce Knowledge. As with our summer release, we added some more features for our analytics engine. We're going to go in and look at a few of those. We're going to look at setting pick list value colors as they show up in dashboards. We're going to look at setting up a combination chart so you can have a bar graph and a line in the same chart. So we're going to do some cool stuff with analytics. Then we're going to go into lookup filters. Oftentimes when people go to create a case or a contact, they go to look up an account and they might choose an inactive account, or they might choose an account that doesn't match with that. Well, we can now set up lookup filters, so you can control basically which parent records people associate with the child record or related record. So look at lookup filters, and then the next step in the process visualizer. At the summer release, we had a process visualizer for approval processes. We've improved it. We listened to what you guys had to say in its beta release, and you'll be able to see it's the newest features with the process visualizer. And then hopefully we'll have some time for some Q&A at the end. Jumping right into Salesforce Knowledge. Many of you may know that initially, right now, out of the box, we have cases and solutions. You log a case, it's an issue, it's a problem. The solution is ideally supposed to solve that problem. You may set up a knowledge base with solutions. Well, knowledge is the next step in its evolution. Knowledge is for larger companies, companies that have very complex issues and need a very robust knowledge solution. In knowledge bases, the problem isn't always necessarily having answers in there. It's having too many. It's like going out to Google and doing a search and getting back thousands of results when you just need one. And if you're a support agent and you've got a case and you go to search for an answer to that case, you don't need to be looking through 50 answers. You've got to solve it quickly. It's one-touch resolutions. Makes your support reps more productive, more efficient, and it saves you money. So Salesforce Knowledge allows those reps to find the answers quickly. You can also expose these knowledge articles to the public, so your customers can search through that knowledge base to find the answers that they need. And again, I liken this a lot to like Amazon. I dropped my digital camera. So I go to Amazon, I type in digital camera, like 15,000 digital cameras available on Amazon. So how do you focus those down? Because it's just a keyword search. I do need a digital camera. So on the site in Amazon, you've got those categories. So I can say, well, I want something 10 megapixels and above. I want something within this price range. And I begin to check off checkboxes in these categories. And it begins to filter the results. That's how knowledge works. Okay? So if I'm a support rep, I may just start with a simple keyword search, like memory upgrade. And then based on these data categories, I can, by checking boxes, focus it down to find just the answer I'm looking for. Okay, so again, it's the idea of these targeted search results. But there are some other features with knowledge. You have more security options with these articles. You can have more, they can be more richly, you can upload pictures and graphics for these articles. So there's a lot more functionality with them as well. Brendan, let's do a quick demo. So Brendan's going to log into an org. And let's say Brendan is working the call center. And he gets a call from, what's her name, Kathy? Or Carol. So he looks up Carol. He goes to her contact record. She's with Global Media. He notices that Carol has purchased the XPS laptop, and she's had some other cases. But her new question, and it's not really she's not really having a problem. She just has a question. She's like, I need to upgrade my memory. How do I upgrade the memory on my laptop? So we create the case. We're just going to kind of quickly fill out the information here. But we are going to put in that subject line, upgrade memory on laptop. And then once we save it, notice that with knowledge enabled, there is an articles related list. So we're going to search articles. And it's going to do an initial keyword search. But we've got a lot of articles here that might work. Well, on the left, I have article types. Well, this really isn't an alert. It's not really a frequently asked question. We don't want to give her the whole manual for the XPS, and this isn't an offer. So we're just going to leave it. We're looking for a how-to article. We're going to click Go. Well, that narrowed the results some. Now we're going to go into the data categories. What product are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at a laptop. Narrows the results further. For the customer type, this is a consumer. And geography, North So it's this way of narrowing down those results to find the article we're looking for. Now, when we look at this article, there's a little bit more functionality than just a standard Salesforce record. We can have different views of it. This is, instead of like a tab view or a section view, we have like a table of contents view of our sections. We can have graphics. You can bullet point, number. So there's more to the functionality of this record. We can rate it. So you can have both a customer rating and a user rating. So again, you can have, how did your customers think about this article, this solution, and how did your support reps think of it? So if I'm a support rep, if I'm going through and I still end up with about 3 results, I can look to see what was the highest rated and which one is viewed the most. So it's just kind of a quick demo. And then we can attach. Again, we can attach that article to our case. All right. So that's just a quick demo. So how do we set it up? Well, let's take a look at the exercise. The first exercise. The goal here is to set up Salesforce Knowledge so users can locate the articles they need quickly and efficiently. Right now, Knowledge has not been set up. We just called Salesforce and said, hey, we want Knowledge. We've got to go in and set it up. So we've just started using Salesforce Knowledge. We need to create a new article type. Again, you can create multiple article types, FAQs, how-tos, troubleshooting tips. You could use this beyond support. You could use this for like sales, pricing catalogs, those types of things. So you could set them up that way. Okay. So we need to set up a new article type. We need to create a new category group. Now these category groups, those were those things down on the side where I can set them up. I can have 5 category groups based on like products, pricing, hardware, software. I could have 5 category groups that then I could move into and narrow down my results. So I can create category groups. And then the nice thing about Knowledge, it's different than solutions. I don't know if you guys have, if you've used support, if you've used our solutions. Solutions are not part of the org-wide defaults. Solutions are basically open to everybody. Now this may not be a security issue, but again, if I'm a support rep, I got 20,000 articles in there. I don't need to see all the articles. I just work with laptops. I just need to see the articles associated with laptops. So once we take these data categories, we can take these data categories and assign the data categories to roles so that you can control who has access to which articles. And again, it could be a security issue or it could just be, just narrow down the results. We want to simplify this. Again, knowledge base, the problem in knowledge base is not having the answers, it's having the right one. And we want to set this up to narrow it down for security purposes. All right, so the first thing we need to do is create an article type. So we're going to go into Setup, App Setup, Customize. We're going to scroll down within Customize, and we have a Knowledge with the new. See, that Knowledge is new. And the first thing we're going to do is go into article types. Now notice that there are no article types. If we went into settings and tried to enable Salesforce Knowledge, it would not let us basically turn it on or enable it until we have at least one article type. So we need to go in and set up a new article type. And for our label, we're just going to, singular is FAQ, plural FAQs. The description is not required, but you can enter this article type will be used to answer common customer questions. And then for deployment status, we're going to leave this as deployed. And just quick before Brendan saves, I'll just make sure everybody had a chance to fill this in. Okay, typing stopped. Click Save. All right, so this is our article type. And this is going to look similar to almost like creating a custom object in Salesforce. We've got fields that can be used. So we've got like our plural name. We have their fields. We could add new fields. We could also edit this page layout. So each article type almost ends up like a record type. Except here I could have different fields for each article type. I could have a different page layout for each article type. I might need different fields for a frequently asked question as opposed to a how-to or a troubleshooting tip guide. Now this channel displays. I can take this article and I can expose it just internally. and I can expose it through a customer portal or through the public knowledge base. When I expose it through these channels, I have the option to use the tab format. So in a normal Salesforce record, I have sections, the collapsible sections. In an article, those sections can be displayed in tabs. Or, like we saw with the demo, it could be like a table of contents on the side. For your internal users, you may expose it as a tab because they're used to seeing Salesforce things in tabs. Same thing potentially with the customer portal. Public knowledge base, though, maybe table of contents. You also have the option to create Visualforce pages for these articles. Okay. And then save. All right. We're not going to add any fields, but that would obviously be a next option. All right. So now that we have an article type, we're going to go left in Setup into Knowledge into Settings. Now that we have an article type, we can enable Salesforce Knowledge. So yes, I understand the impact of enabling Salesforce Knowledge, and click Enable Salesforce Knowledge. The impact being, of course, that it will just really improve your support offerings. All right, knowledge-based language, we're going to leave that as English. Just like solutions, you need to choose a master language that can be translated into other languages. We're going to leave that as English and click Save. All right, so knowledge has been enabled. We have an article type. The next step is to set up users for knowledge. There's, with knowledge, just like most things in Salesforce, there's something that we need to do on the user record and some things we need to do on the profile. Okay. So the user options, first, I'm sorry, we're going to set up the category types before we do the user. I'm sorry. So just below knowledge in setup, we have our data categories. Okay, so just below tags, we're going to go into data categories. There's a little tutorial here. Again, if you want to access this later, you may want to view this. So again, category groups. That's what's going to sit in the sidebar. It's how we're going to refine our search. It's how we're going to break this down. An article could be associated with multiple data categories. You can have 5 main category groups. Again, we're universal containers. We're going to have a group name for container doors. So for our group name, container doors, click Tab. That will automatically give us the unique name. And for the description, this category type will be used for questions and answers around shipping container doors. It doesn't have to be exact. And again, you can have 5 category groups. I've had people ask, I did this on Monday in a full day, and I had people ask, could we go beyond that? And kind of the idea of 5 was, again, the problem with knowledge-based management is things get too complex, they get too confusing. And we're sticking with 5. Now, maybe down the road it could expand beyond that. But the idea of 5 is, once you get beyond 5, if I had 10 category groups, then I'm not simplifying anything. I'm potentially overcomplicating it. So we're going to stick with 5 main category groups. First one being container doors. So we're going to click Save. Now we're going to build out our tree. We're going to build out our hierarchy. Within container doors, we're going to have several data categories. And you can see them in the guide. They're assembling container door locking issues. After each one, you can click Enter or Add. Okay, container door locking issues, Add. Container door sticking. And then, the last one is purchasing a new container door. So even though I just have one group here, container doors, I could enter several data categories. These are kind of like tags. I can enter several tags. And if I hover over, for example, assembling container door, over on the right, so if you hover over it and go over to the actions and click the drop down, That's how you could add a child to that data category. So you can go out five child categories. So even though we're starting with 5 main category groups, it's not going to limit you that much. You just need to keep it simple for those first 5. Then you can kind of go out to a deeper hierarchy, and you can go 5 levels, like 5 child categories. So we're going to save those categories, so click Save. And right now, notice that Container Doors is still in this inactive category group. So if we hover over Container Doors, we get some little icons open up, and we don't want to delete it. We want to go to the key. We want to activate this category group. Right? So now it's active. And by default, every user, every role, internal, external, will have access to that category group. So any article associated with any of those categories, every user will have access to by default. It's kind of like your org-wide defaults. By default, everything's public. You may want to go in and make things private. So let's show you how to do that. We do that through the role hierarchy. So, again, in the exercise guide, now we're going to step 4. Okay, we're providing user access through a role. And to do this, we're going into Manage Users, Roles. Got a little splash screen on the role hierarchy. We're going to click Set Up Roles. And then Expand All. And we're going to work with the Customer Support Manager. So underneath the SVP, Customer Service and Support, Customer Support Manager, we want to click on that role, Customer Support Manager. And when we scroll down, we now have a related list for our category groups. And for our Container Door category, it says all categories are visible to this role and subordinates. But notice, see if I can get one hand on this. What is different about this than pretty much all other access in Salesforce? Exactly. It's inherited from the CEO. Everything else in Salesforce ownership rolls up. With these data categories, everything is assigned high to the CEO, and it rolls down. So we want to edit this setting. So the 3 options: leave the visibility inherited from the CEO, have no visibility to this category group, or customize the visibility. So if we click Customize, notice that right now under Selected Categories, so I have Available Categories, Selected Categories, all has been selected. Well, if we did not want this manager role to have access to all of these categories, we would first need to remove all, so click All and Remove, and then one by one add the categories we wanted this role to have access to. Well, this is a support manager, so we want to add assembling Container Door, locking issues, add that, add sticking. But the customer support manager does not need to see articles about purchasing a new Container Door. It's a support manager. Does not need to have access to that. So we've set this so that they just have access to the articles, to the category type that will be on articles that they need to have access to. Okay, real quick, I kind of want to hold the questions to the end, but if it's quick. It's internal, but it's going to be exposed out as well, because the external roles will be within that top level. So you would need to change it up. Okay, so then save. Okay, so again, going back, we created an article type. We enabled knowledge. We created data categories. We took those data categories and we assigned them to the appropriate roles. Going back to what I started to go into earlier is preparing our users to use knowledge. And the first step is a user record setting. So we're going to go into Manage Users, and we're going to go into Lynn Clooney's user record. Okay, so we're going to edit Lynn Clooney's user record, and it's a checkbox. I mean, knowledge is licensed separately. So we have a knowledge user checkbox on the user record. With that checked, Lynn Clooney is now using a license, a knowledge license. You may not roll out knowledge to all of your users, maybe just to your support organization, and so you could use those licenses appropriately. By the way, for public, this is going out to a portal. There's not an added-on cost. If you're already purchased a customer license, a partner license, or sites, it's not going to be an additional cost for knowledge. Okay, so that's the user record setting. Next, let's go to profiles. So let's go to Manage User Profiles. And we have this standard Solution Manager profile. Well, we're moving from solutions over to articles. So let's click on the Solution Manager, and let's clone it. Let's clone the Solution Manager profile. And we're going to create the UC Knowledge Manager. And save. Now, according to the exercise guide, the only thing that we're going to click Edit, and the only thing we need to check is the Edit Articles checkbox. But I'm going to scroll down. Let's first look in the Administrative Permissions. And I want to show you the permissions on profiles. Notice that there's a Manage Salesforce Knowledge. Okay? There's basically three permissions. There's Manage Knowledge, which is an admin permission. There's Edit Articles, which is a general user, and View Articles. So there's kind of three article settings: Manage, View, and Edit. There's also data categories. Notice that there is a Manage Data Categories. Those are done separately. So that's another permission. And if you hover over the I, if you manage data categories, then you can view data categories, which are also over there on the right. Now, we're not going to touch any of these administrative permissions. Down under General User Permissions, this is where we have our View Articles, which is down there at the bottom. And then we have Edit Articles, which is on the left column, on the left column. We want to check that box. So mainly with knowledge, you have Manage Knowledge, View, and Edit on the articles, and then you also have Manage and View on the data categories. And then save. So now, and again, just beyond this, some other things. You've got a tab for articles. You have an article management tab, so those tabs may need to be added to the appropriate apps. You may want to set up an app just for knowledge. And then you begin building and creating articles and publishing articles. All right, so that's knowledge. All right, moving next to analytic enhancements. And again, I'll stick around if you guys have more questions about knowledge. Next, analytics enhancements. If you guys, hopefully all of you back in your home orgs, hopefully all of you have enabled with the summer release, hopefully you all went in and enabled the new analytic engine. Okay? Did everybody do that? All of you as admins did a good job of reviewing your summer release notes, and you went in and you enabled the new analytic engine. Well, we added functionality to our new analytic engine. Yeah, it's been enabled. But if you had not enabled it, you would have this big screen saying, enable the new engine. All right, so hopefully you all have done that. All right, we've added some new features. We've allowed you the ability to plot multiple sets of data on a single chart. So you can have like a line on a column chart, vertical column chart. Or you can have two lines, or you can have multiple columns or multiple bars on your graphs. This allows you to easily compare values and present data in different ways. So this is a nice feature. They work both on the charts on the reports and the charts on the dashboards. Okay, so I'm sorry, if you go back real quick. So this allows you to not only track the sum of the amount on an opportunity by owner, but also the sum of expected revenue. So you're plotting two results on one chart. So this is, and you can have up to 3 columns on a column chart, or bars on a bar chart, or you can have a line on a column. That's what we're going to do on our exercise. We're going to put a line graph on a chart so you can present the values in different ways. Okay. Also, pick lists. Have you guys ever gone into a dashboard, looked at 2 different components, and you see that like the values are different on each. Like I see closed one is red on one, and I see closed one is, actually if you go to the home page, Brendan, if you go to the home page in our org, notice here I've got closed one is green, and here closed one is a different color of green. Closed lost is yellow, or this kind of mint green. And there it's different colors on different charts. Well, what you can do now is you can go into those pick list values and set the same value. So no matter where closed one appears, it's going to be bright green. No matter where closed lost appears, it's going to be bright red. So across all dashboards, we can go in and set those values of those pick lists. All right, so let's go in and set these up. Our goal, update dashboards so that Universal Container sales managers can quickly see the data they care about most. Sales manager at Universal Containers wants to see the data consistently and efficiently across dashboards. So they want to see the same colors across dashboards. So the task is to set colors for pick list values in charts. They also, one of the things that we didn't mention in the slides is on a chart, when I click on a dashboard component, it usually takes me to the report. Well, what if I just want to click on a segment of a pie chart so I can just see a report on that segment's data? Or on a bar chart, I just want to click on one bar and take me to a filtered report that just shows me that data filtered on that for that rep or for that region. You can do, or for that stage, you can do that. So instead of just drilling down to the whole report, you can drill down to a filtered report. And then we're going to create a combination chart. All right, so time-wise, I'm going to go a little more quickly here. So in order to set our colors for our charts, okay, just notice, it says here to click on the dashboard tab and notice the colors in the closed one and closed lost. We can see that on the home page. Okay? We can see that right here, that the values for closed one and closed lost are different across charts. And they're just dynamically set. I've kind of figured out, it just kind of depends on how many are exposed, but there's no real way of knowing what colors are going to be associated with which pick list value. So in order to change that, we don't do anything in reporting. We actually go to the field itself. So in order to set those values, we don't do anything through reporting or dashboards. We go into setup, and if we want to make adjustments to the stage field on the opportunity, we go into setup, app setup, customize, opportunities, fields. All right, so I'll slow down here. Setup, app setup, customize, opportunities, fields, and we want to go in and just click on the stage field. Now again, this is kind of new. For those of you that haven't been in and looked at these pick lists, there's a new button here. Notice when we see these stage values, we've got a button up at the top that says chart colors, and with the drop down you can either assign fixed colors to all values or assign those colors to values dynamically. Right now, notice in the list it says chart colors are assigned dynamically. Well, let's select assign fixed colors to all values. And it will show some chart colors. If we scroll down, notice that we do have some chart colors. Now right now, no matter which chart they're displayed on, those colors will be displayed. Well, I want to make a change to that closed one. So I'm going to click Edit next to closed one. And over for the chart color, I'm going to click the little palette. I want it to be this bright, bright green there. You guys can pick whatever color you want. You don't have to pick what I pick. But I want it to be bright green. I want it to stand out. And click Save. And I want to edit the value on closed lost. Actually, that's closed one again. I want to edit the value on closed lost. I want that to be bright red. Again, whole stop go. So I want that to be bright red. And save. Now what I have seen people do, I've seen in some demos, people for their stages at the top color have chosen like a light color of blue, and as it goes through, as it gets hotter, they may kind of change from blue to red. So anybody looking at it, they can kind of see what level it is. And you can open up that palette and you can go from maybe like a yellow to an orange to a red, kind of like our DEFCON or codes are. You can kind of just set them up that way. So, but again, you have the flexibility to do that. Now, if we go back to the dashboard, tab and refresh this dashboard, we should see the closed won and closed lost colors as soon as it's done refreshing. There we go. The colors now have changed. Now, across all three of these, you can see closed lost, red, closed lost, red, closed lost, red, closed won, that kind of mint green. Across all dashboards, those colors will be the same. And again, we're just looking at stage, but if you're in support, you could do this for support levels, lead, as a lead goes through the process, and not just stage fields across all pick lists. You can have consistent colors. Now, if you guys just stay here, is everybody on this page, on the dashboard? So if everybody goes to the dashboard tab, okay, and we're looking at the company performance dashboard, I'm going to show you how we can drill down to a filtered report. If you look at this opportunities by region by stage, notice if we just click for the full report, if we click on that component, it takes us to the full report, which is okay. If we go back into that, maybe if we go back to the dashboard tab, or you can click the back button either way. If we go back to that dashboard, I think it would be nice, instead of clicking on that dashboard component and going to the full report, what if I just wanted to know how they were performing in the West, or Northeast, or Central region? Or what if I just wanted to know what was at the prospecting stage? Or what if I wanted to drill in, what about the West, what was won in the West? I want to drill down to a filtered report. Well, to do that, I need to click Edit on the dashboard, edit on that component, just above the component, click Edit. And again, this is something, some of you may have worked with dashboards a lot, and this is new. Drill down to not the source report, but the filtered source report. This is not tough to set up a filtered source report drill down. Just drill down to a filtered report. So we set it filtered source report and save. And now notice when we hover over it, every segment in these bars you can drill down to. If I hover over, if Brendan hovers, yeah, okay. Anything I click on, it takes me to that filtered result. I can hover over the values here. I can hover over West, so I could just see the West result. Sorry, Brendan, I don't know if you can see it. Just at the, yeah, you may need to, or the Northeast. Yeah, you can hover over those results. You can even hover down under the stages, down below. Anything you click on, it's going to take you to the filtered result on the source report. Very, very cool, I think. If you want to go to the full report, you know what you need to do, and I didn't do it here. What you want to do for the full report is put a title on the dashboard. So with a title, when you hover over the title, it will take you to the full report. I just didn't do that when we created that one. And Brendan, scroll down. I think the one just below this, on the deal pipeline, I think if that's drilled down to, notice that there's a title there. So if I hover over the, if I click there, it takes me to the full, under the deal pipeline, it takes me to the full report. But if I hover over one of the bottom ones, so you do need a title. So the title will take you to the full report. All right, next, let's create a combination chart. All right, so again, from Dashboard tab, we're still working with the same dashboard. We do want to go to this Deal Pipeline component. It's actually down and to the right. Deal Pipeline, it's the second component down on the far right column. This Opportunities by Stage and Owner. So right now, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at prospecting. I'm looking at all of our stages and then each owner's responsibility. Well, let's click on that name, Opportunities by Stage and Owner, to take us to the full source report. If we want to do a combination chart, we need to do it on the source report. So let's click Customize on the source report. Up under the Jump To step, let's jump to Select Charts and Highlights. And again, some of you may be experienced admins, and there's some new stuff in here to see. On this chart setting, there's a checkbox. Now, we already have an existing vertical column stacked. Well, we can check the box for a combination chart. Notice that we want to display a line, and we want to use a second axis. And for the values, we want to choose the number of opportunities. So we need to save this. So we can just click Save. And save that. And if we go back to the Dashboard tab, now there is something we need to do here. Well, let's see if it happens if we refresh it. Okay. There it is on that, but if you go back to the dashboard, okay, there it is. And once it refreshed, that line. So this gives us a correlation between the amount of our opportunities at the prospecting stage and the number of opportunities at that stage. So from an analytics standpoint, notice how even though when we go from value proposition or from needs analysis to value proposition, we can just see that the number of opportunities decreases, but the value doesn't, because hopefully through that needs analysis, we're actually upselling when we get to that. So even though the number decreased, the value still stays high. Okay, so exercise 2, analytic enhancements. Next, lookup filters. Now again, the idea here is when somebody clicks a lookup to relate a child record to a parent record, you may want to control which parent records they can look up to. With standard objects, we could see this with contacts, we could see this with cases, opportunities. You want to make sure that when somebody creates an opportunity that they associate it with the correct account or the appropriate account. Somebody creates a case that they associate it with the appropriate I would think for a case, you might want to make sure that when they create a case that they associate it with the correct support level of an account. Well, our scenario here, and again, this is for lookup fields, master detail lookups, or hierarchical relationship fields. Okay, so we'll go in, look at the exercise. Universal Containers has a number of accounts with similar names. A lot of companies deal with this. You've got a lot of accounts that have, if not the exact same name, very similar names. Right? They recently did an account cleanup and marked out-of-date accounts as inactive. So they pulled all the data out, they reviewed last activity dates, last modified dates, and they found that there were a lot of accounts that were inactive, hadn't been touched in years. So they just checked a box, inactive, 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 inactive. Well, they want to make sure that when somebody creates a new opportunity, that they don't associate that opportunity with an inactive account. Okay. So let's go to the Accounts tab, just to show you the problem that we're dealing with here. If we go to the Accounts tab, and we just click All Accounts and click Go. Notice with Acme, I've got Acme, Acme Electrical Equipment, Acme Moving, Acme Resellers, Acme USA, Acme 10. Well, click on Acme, just the straight up Acme. Notice that Acme is an inactive account. We still have it in that list, but we don't want people associating opportunities with Acme. And right now, if we go to the sidebar and click Create New Opportunity, and you don't even actually have to put in a name, just notice that the account, click the lookup, type in Acme and click Lookup. For this opportunity, just type in Acme and click Lookup. Notice that Acme, which is an inactive account, is available here. We could create an opportunity and associate it to Acme. You know, Acme USA is an inactive account. So we could be associating opportunities with inactive accounts. We don't want that. That's what we want to prevent. All right. So again, and you can go follow this on your exercise guide. We want to go in order to stop this, okay, we need to set up the filter on this pick list field. This account name lookup. We need to adjust that field. So in setup, I'm going to go into setup, app setup, customize, opportunity fields. And it's that account name lookup that I want to adjust. So if you can click on the field label. Notice that for this lookup, it says that there are no lookup filter options. All records are valid. So when I go into an opportunity and I click the account lookup, every account is available. I want to change that. I only want to make active accounts available. So we'll click Edit. And notice with the lookup filter options, currently all records are valid. Well, I want to use a filter criteria to limit the valid records for this field. And this is kind of nice. We can, on that field, we can begin typing in the search field. We can begin typing inactive. And click inactive. That's a checkbox. So if that inactive checkbox equals false, so it's unchecked. So it's an inactive checkbox. If it's false, if it's unchecked, those are the accounts that we want to make available in this lookup. And we want to display an error message. If somebody tries to enter an inactive account, we want to give them an error message. So we're doing two things here. One is if they type in Acme and click the filter, it's only going to give them active accounts. If they type in Acme, don't click the lookup and try to save it, we're going to give them an error message. And that error message is going to say, account does not exist or is inactive. Click icon to select a valid account. And by the way, another new feature in Winter 10 is you can have a help text for standard fields. Yay. So we can go up to the help text. This is a standard field, and we can enter a help text. Only active accounts can be associated to opportunities. So we got a little yay on that. I kind of expected that on the drill down to filtered report. I thought that was cool. We got a yay on help text for standard fields. Still can't make standard fields required or unique yet. We're still working on that one. But we can have help text for standard fields. All right, so then let's save it. All right, and to test this, now if we go back to the Accounts tab, and we click View All Accounts, nothing's changed here. I mean, we still see Acme and Acme USA and some of these that are inactive. But if we go to create a new opportunity, and we type in for the account name, notice our help text. We've got our Acme 1200 widgets. If we go into the account name, and if we type in Acme and click the lookup, notice instead of, I think we had 6 or 7 results, notice now we only have 2. Okay? Those are the only 2 that are active. So the lookup filter works. Okay? So, Brendan, now let's test erase that. So clear Acme resellers. Let's say somebody goes in and just enters Acme USA. And they enter a close date and a stage. So they didn't even click the lookup, but they entered an inactive account. What happens? There's our error message. Account does not exist. So the filter picks it up then. They never clicked the filter, but the filter still applies. And that's where our error message comes up. Account does not exist or is inactive. Click the icon, the lookup icon, to select a valid account. and erase the USA. And then we have our valid active accounts. So again, on this lookup, it's parent record criteria. Okay? So if I'm looking up to an account, it's a filter on the accounts. If I'm looking up to a contact, it's a filter on the contacts. Okay? All right. Now last thing. Process visualizer. Who knows that we had this process visualizer with Summer 08 on approval processes? Okay? We created this process visualizer. It was in beta version. We asked for feedback. Right from the process visualizer, you could go in, click, it would take you to ideas, and then you could give some feedback. Well, we listened to your input, and we now have the new improved process visualizer. So this is an approval process. This allows you with this process visualizer to view this approval process, which can be very complex. It allows you to view a graphic representation of it. And not just have a graphic representation of it, you can use a printable view. You can have a different legend that shows you what the icons mean. You've got, notice that this process could be very long, where you could use this navigation window to see where you are within that process. You can zoom in and zoom out. When you highlight over, for example, like final recall actions, that is displayed over in the sidebar, so you can see it in the property panel. You can search up at the top. If you've got a very complex process and you want to know, you know what, I was supposed to make this VP of sales inactive and I've got to go find them. Were they part of this process? You can put in their name and search to see if they're involved with this. So if we go live on this, if we go through the exercise guide, so exercise 4, Universal Containers has a new administrator who needs to get up to speed. And there might be a bunch of existing, some of you may be in this situation, or may have been in this situation at some point. You're the new admin. You need to go and you need to figure out what all these approval processes are, what they do. And before the process visualizer, you would have been stuck going through that approval process detail page, trying to figure out, okay, what are my final approval steps? What are my final rejection steps? What are all my filters? Well, you can just go and look at the process visualizer. So let's go into setup. App setup, not customize, but create. Down at the bottom, workflow and approvals. Go to approval processes. And if we scroll down, we want to, manage approval processes for position. And we've got this approval for new position. So again, once we go to the approval process page, manage approval process for position. We have one approval process, approval for new positions. If we click on it, this is the normal page. Before the new release, this is what you would have been looking at to try to figure out this approval process if you were a new admin. Or even if you had set up this process, this is where you would go to try to troubleshoot. It's like, this isn't working the way we want it to work. What's going on here? You would have been stuck looking through this. Well, now you can view the diagram up at the top. So the diagram opens up. We have a legend, which we can hide if we want. We have a navigator down here at the bottom, which we could hide if we want. So you can remove some of these features. Okay. We've got over on the left. And again, as far as the exercise guide, you can kind of follow these. We're kind of running short on time, so I just want to show these really quick. Notice the zoom in up in the top left there, so you can increase or decrease. What also could potentially help with that is the navigator pane. This not only tells you where you are, but you can scroll up and down with that navigator pane. Now for your approval process properties, notice that there is a bit of an open up that gives you like everything that's off the top. You know, is it active? Can you edit? Who can edit records? All those things you set up through the process. When you hover over things like initial submission actions, like notice for initial submission actions, there's a plus. You can expand that by clicking the plus, and you can expand what happens there. And all of that, when you hover over it, is displayed in the right. And let's say, hey, Brendan, is Simon part of this process? In the lookup, click in Simon, and we can see, yes, Simon is. He is part of step 2. He is in recruiting management approval. Well, what are all the statuses? Brendan, what kind of statuses do we have here? So we can change Simon, we can delete that and put in status. Okay, and we can see that, what are we looking for? Yeah, you can see, oh, it's STAT. That's all right. At least let's put something that I would normally do. Now, there are 7 matches. So we see 7 matches, we see previous and next. So if it's something that appears a lot, you can, just like in a normal, like, you know, Control F, you can kind of see the next matches through the process. Okay. You guys, again, you can potentially have access to this. If you go back in and you have approval processes set up, you can view this on your own processes. Okay, so other Winter 10 enhancements. If you're wondering, where did the Ideas app go? The Ideas app is now the community app. I think after this week you can see where we're going with that, why we changed it from an ID app to a community app. There's enhanced profile management, which I love. You can do enhanced list views on your profiles. So you can do filters. Show me all the profiles that have mass email. Show me all the profiles that can do this. Just like in a normal list view where you can do multiple edits, you can edit from those profile list views. Really happy with that. Also, there's more automation in campaigns, which we keep adding to. Each release, we add more automation to campaigns. Again, all of you, I'm sure, know where to find all of the Winter 10 enhancements. If you go to our community site, there's a banner across the top that says Winter 10, and you can go find the detailed release notes. Also, our booth is open for another 15 minutes. If you want to go learn more about our training and certification, you can sign up for classes. We got a 10% discount. At 15 minutes, it's going fast. If you want to sign up, 15% discount plus a $100 gift card for training, you can go find that. There is a survey. If you guys want, you can go into the Home tab and quickly fill out the survey. If you also have questions about training, again, Kelly is in the back. For those of you that I recognize, it's good to see some of you guys again who I've had in class. And hopefully I will see many more of you in my classes in San Mateo or Toronto. Questions? I'm not sure. Anybody do unfiltered lookups? Is it API? Is it respected in API calls? Anybody? Please hang around. I'll see if I can find out on that. Other questions? Yes.
Can you embed any HTML code in help text to launch like a little training
I
video?
think it's simple text in help text, but yeah, I don't think you can. That would be a nice feature request, though, particularly for help. Ideas, our Salesforce ideas. Okay, any other questions? I'm easy to find. I'm right here. Yeah. Yeah. Knowledge is an add-on. Yes, it's a feature license. It is an add-on. No. If you have the customer portal, it does not necessarily mean you have access to Knowledge. Knowledge is separate. Okay. And check with your account managers for Knowledge. Okay. Even if it's unlimited edition, unfortunately. Yeah.
I know you can do it by a certain pick list, but then I saw the advanced options, so you can do it by the advanced options. Can you do it by profile also? So say for the accounts, you want to say, okay, for this profile, I want to show active, but for this profile, I want to show inactive.
Let me check if I can find that login. It's usually the issue is associated with that with the account, but like formula lookups, you may be able to access current user profile data. And if you hang around for a second, I'll go into it and check it. But it would just look to see in that lookup when you go to look it up potentially. But I think it's just based. Okay. Hi.
So I've gone nuts with the enhanced lookups. They're really good. My customer has a lot of need for them. But there's a limit of 10 per record. Is that a beta limit or is that a real limit?
On this for the lookup filters, limit of 10.